night above Magnolia felt unsettled, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Then a streak of light tore across the heavens, burning like a scar. The impact shook the ground, throwing dust and fire into the air. When the smoke cleared, a crater yawned open at the edge of the city, and at its center stood a man. His hair was wild, black as midnight, his eyes not innocent, but heavy, sharp, carrying the weight of endless battles. The energy around him was not magic, yet the earth trembled with it. Bystanders whispered in awe and fear, their guild marks glowing faintly as if their own magic was recoiling. Fairy Tail arrived quickly. Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and Erza at the front. Erza stepped forward, armored and poised, her face steady though her heart hammered. She had fought demons and wizards who styled themselves gods, but this man radiated something else, an overwhelming, raw presence. She leveled her sword. "Who are you?" The stranger's gaze rose to meet hers. His voice was steady but tinged with fatigue. "Name's Goku, and I don't belong to this world." The air froze. Natsu let out a laugh, half mocking, half confused, but the sudden surge of golden energy that rippled from Goku silenced him. Even without magic, the power he carried was undeniable. Fairy Tail realized in that moment his arrival wasn't coincidence, it was an omen. Goku did not intend to join a guild, he wasn't the type to seek family. Yet the warmth in the Fairy Tail hall, the chaos of laughter and brawls, touched something buried deep. He stayed. From the start, eyes locked on him. Lucy tried to draw him into conversations about dreams and journeys, her voice soft, her glances lingering. Mirajane teased with playful touches and sly comments, enjoying the challenge of cracking his stoicism. Juvia, though bound to Gray, couldn't help but watch him with fascination. Kanna leaned close with a grin, sliding mugs of alcohol his way. Each woman pulled in her own direction, but Erza was different. She didn't flirt, she tested him. In the training yard, blade met fist, sparks flying as steel clashed with raw power, her discipline against his instinct, her precision against his overwhelming force. After every bout, silence lingered, their eyes locked longer than either admitted. Respect was forming, dangerous, magnetic respect. Jealousy simmered. One afternoon, Mirajane threw her arms around Goku from behind in mock clumsiness, the guild laughing. The room fell quiet when Erza appeared, aura sharp as steel, her gaze burning through the laughter. Mirajane withdrew with a mischievous smile, but everyone understood, this was not a game. Then came the mission against Serpent Fang, the dark guild of poison mages. Their fortress reeked of venom, magic that melted flesh and soul alike. Natsu's flames fizzled against it. Gray collapsed, struggling to breathe. Lucy's keys slipped from her weakening hands. The poison master raised his staff, summoning a storm of green death. Erza staggered forward to shield them. Goku stepped beside her. "This one's mine." The battle shook the fortress. Golden Ki collided with rivers of venom, each blast tearing stone apart. Poison snakes of magic struck from every angle. Goku shattered them with his fists, burned them with bursts of light, but the toxin clung to his skin, sizzling, corroding. The poison master laughed. "Every breath brings you closer to death." Goku vanished, reappearing above him, his knee shattering the mage's jaw. The body dissolved into mist, reforming across the chamber. "I am venom given form," the mage sneered, hurling down meteors of green. Erza raised her shield, only for the poison to eat through the steel in seconds. Her hand blistered, but she stood firm. "Focus on the others. This is his fight." Goku's aura flared, light so bright the air screamed. "Maybe your poison eats the soul," he growled. "But I've fought worse than death." The Ki storm exploded outward, incinerating the venom tide. Gold devoured green. The mage faltered, his smirk slipping into fear too late. A Kamehameha roared through him, tearing the fortress apart in a sunlit wave. The dust settled. Goku dropped to his knees, poisoned, his skin trembling, breath ragged. Erza caught him, her armor scarred, her arms steady. "Enough," she whispered. "You don't have to carry it alone." Something broke inside him then. Not his body, his wall. The poison was slow, creeping through his veins like fire and ice tangled together. Goku, who had endured blows that shattered mountains, now trembled on the edge of collapse. Erza refused to let him fall. She carried him back to the guild, her grip iron despite her own wounds. The others followed in silence, shaken not only by the battle, but by what they had witnessed. A man who could rival gods, brought low not by strength but by corruption. Poor Lyusica, the healer, frowned as she examined him. "This is no ordinary toxin. It binds to the very essence of life. I can only slow it. If he fights again too soon, it will kill him." Goku opened his eyes, his voice hoarse. "I don't stop fighting. Not when people are counting on me." Erza's hand pressed firmly to his shoulder, pinning him down with more authority than any healer could muster. "You will rest. That is an order." The room went still. Even Natsu, always itching for the next fight. Didn't argue, something in her tone made it clear. She wasn't just commanding him as a comrade, she was guarding something far deeper. Days passed. Goku healed slowly, each night plagued with visions of battles from another life, worlds burning, friends screaming, the silence of space swallowing everything. He would wake with clenched fists, sweat dripping, his breath ragged, and each time, Erza was there, sometimes at his door, sometimes sitting quietly by his bedside, pretending to read. She never asked about his nightmares, never pressed, but her presence alone steadied him in ways he couldn't explain. Their bond grew in the silences between words. One night, training resumed in the quiet field outside Magnolia. Erza struck with relentless precision, blades shifting in flashes of equipped magic. Goku met each strike barehanded, his poisoned body slower than usual, but his instincts flawless. Sweat poured from both, their eyes never wavering. At last, Erza's blade pressed against his chest, her armor cracked, her hair sticking to her face. Goku, though unarmed, had his fist hovering just above her throat. The fight ended in a draw. They stood there, panting, faces inches apart. Erza's voice softened, almost trembling. "Why do you keep pushing yourself, even when it could kill you?" His answer was quiet, but heavy. "Because I'd rather fall protecting people, than stand back, and lose them." Her eyes softened, her sword lowering. In that moment, something shifted, not spoken, not declared, but undeniable. Tension in the guild grew as Serpent Fang retaliated. They unleashed monsters twisted by alchemy and venom, horrors that even seasoned mages struggled to hold back. The streets of Magnolia became battlegrounds, and in each clash, Goku was there, refusing to be sidelined. Lucy, terrified yet determined, tried to reach him during one mission. "You don't always have to fight alone," she cried, summoning celestial spirits to aid him. Mirajane transformed, her demon form unleashing power beside him. Kana rained cards of destruction. Juvia unleashed torrents of water. Each of them tried in their own way to stand at his side, but their glances carried something deeper. It wasn't just loyalty, it was longing. And every time Erza entered the fray, every time she stood shoulder to shoulder with him, the air thickened with unspoken rivalry. Whispers spread. Who would win Goku's heart? Lucy's kindness, Mirajane's charm, Kana's wild fire, Juvia's devotion, or Erza's unshakable steel? The answer began to take shape one night. After a brutal battle outside the city, Goku had taken the brunt of an explosion meant for the guild. His body smoked with burns, his aura flickering. The guild rushed to him, voices overlapping, hands reaching, but he only looked at one person, Erza. Her name left his lips as if it were the only anchor keeping him tethered to the world. Erza knelt, pulling him into her arms, her armor scraping against his scorched skin. She didn't care. Her hand brushed through his hair, her voice fierce. "You fool, you reckless, impossible fool." His eyes fluttered closed, but his faint smile carried more warmth than any victory shout. The others saw, they understood, and though jealousy still sparked, it was clear. His soul had chosen. Serpent Fang would not fall quietly. Their final gambit was monstrous, a fusion of venom, dark magic, and forbidden alchemy. The beast towered over Magnolia, its body a writhing mass of fangs and scales, its breath melting stone. Fairy Tail rallied, striking with everything they had. Natsu's flames roared, Gray's ice carved through scales. Lucy's spirits fought desperately, but the monster endured, each wound sealing with vile regeneration. Goku stood at the front, golden aura flaring. The poison still lingered in his body, but his eyes burned with resolve. "I'll end this." Erza stepped forward, armor flashing as she summoned every blade she had. Not alone, not this time. Together they charged. The battlefield became a storm. Blades and fists blurred, each strike carving deeper. Goku unleashed a Kamehameha so bright it split the night, Erza's swords piercing alongside it. The beast screamed, venom spraying, dissolving buildings, but they did not stop. Then came the final moment. The monster gathered all its poison, its body swelling, preparing to unleash a wave that would drown the entire city. Goku grabbed Erza's hand. Together, golden ki spiraled around them, entwined with the crimson light of her blades. In perfect unison, they unleashed everything. His beam, her storm of swords, light and steel tore through venom, through scales, through darkness itself. The explosion lit the sky like dawn. When the dust settled, the beast was gone. Magnolia stood scarred, but alive. And at the center of the crater, Goku and Erza stood side by side, still holding each other's hands, refusing to let go. That night, the guild celebrated their survival. Laughter, music, overflowing mugs filled the hall. Yet Goku and Erza slipped away quietly, finding themselves beneath the quiet stars. For a long time they said nothing. The silence between them was full, not empty. At last, Erza spoke, her voice stripped of armor. You don't belong to this world. And yet, I can't imagine it without you now. Goku looked at her, his expression softer than it had ever been. I don't know where I belong anymore, but with you, it feels right. Her breath caught, her hand trembling just slightly as he reached for it. Their fingers laced together, not as warriors, not as rivals, but as something far more. For the first time since his arrival, Goku felt still, and for the first time in her life, Erza allowed herself to be unguarded. The stars shone brighter that night, as if even the heavens approved. The dawn after the battle came quiet, almost surreal. Magnolia was scarred, buildings crumbled, streets littered with debris, yet the air carried a strange serenity. Fairy Tale's guild members moved through the ruins, helping where they could, laughter and chatter slowly returning, carrying both relief and exhaustion. Goku stood on the edge of the square, his body bruised and burned, ki flickering faintly like a dying flame. He had fought with everything he had, pushed past limits he didn't even know existed, and survived only because of the unyielding presence of Erza at his side. The memory of her holding him during the worst moments, the way her eyes never wavered, never doubted, still burned in his chest. Erza approached, her armor scratched, but her composure intact, though a quiet fatigue softened her usually steel-edged expression. You can stop pretending nothing affects you, she said gently, but her voice carried the authority of a general, and the warmth of someone who genuinely cared. Goku let out a breath, the tension in his shoulders finally loosening. I don't like being weak, he admitted quietly, but with you, it doesn't feel so unbearable. Her hand brushed against his, barely, but the contact carried weight, not flirtation, not teasing, just grounding reality. It was the first time they were together outside combat, away from chaos, without the pressures of the guild, or a world in peril. In the days that followed, the guild rebuilt. Goku helped when he could, though his methods were far from subtle. Buildings lifted with bursts of ki, debris cleared in seconds, but no one complained. Even Natsu had to admit it was impressive, though he never let the opportunity pass to challenge him to a spar. Fire versus ki. Gray's frost collided with Goku's energy in frozen arcs that split the air. Lucy and the celestial spirits trained together, practicing teamwork that mirrored the camaraderie forming in the group. But through it all, the tension surrounding Goku remained. Eyes lingered, whispers swirled. Lucy would brush against him in the guild hall. Mirajane offered him drinks with mischievous winks. Kana teased with bravado. Juvia watched with longing. Yet every time Erza entered the room, every time her armor flashed in the sunlight, or her aura pulsed in battle, the dynamic shifted. The other women could feel it, could see it. Goku's attention, though broad in courtesy, ultimately centered on her. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Goku and Erza found themselves alone at the river's edge. The water mirrored the fiery streaks of sunset, and the world seemed to slow around them. Do you ever regret coming here? Erza asked, voice barely above the whisper of the river. Goku shook his head, gaze fixed on the horizon. No, even with all this madness, I've never felt more alive and safer than I should. She allowed herself a small, almost imperceptible smile. You're reckless, you know that? And you're stubborn, he countered, his voice softer now. They both laughed quietly, a sound neither had shared with the other before. Time passed like this, days of quiet bonding interspersed with missions that tested both the guild and their limits. Each challenge, each enemy, each clash of magic and ki strengthened the unspoken tether between them. The other guild members learned to accept it, though jealousy never fully faded. It simmered, manifesting in glances, small taunts, and playful rivalry. Then came the true test. The remnants of Serpent Fang, desperate for vengeance, unleashed a final abomination. It was larger than any creature Magnolia had faced, a monstrous fusion of venom, dark magic, and forbidden alchemy. Its roar shook mountains, and its breath melted streets. Fairy Tale rallied, but even together, they struggled to hold the line. Natsu's flames burned hotter than ever. Gray's ice carved fissures in the earth. Lucy's spirits fought valiantly, and Mirajane's demonic form met the monster with dazzling ferocity. Kana, Juvia, all joined in a maelstrom of magic, but it wasn't enough. Goku's golden aura flared against the shadow of the beast. Even poisoned, even battered, he charged. Erza, by his side, blades spinning, armors flashing in a deadly dance, matched him blow for blow. They moved as one, an unspoken synchronization forged over battles and trust. The monster lunged, preparing to unleash a wave of corrosive venom that would wipe the guild from existence. Goku grabbed Erza's hand. Together, he said, and she squeezed, her eyes reflecting the brilliance of their combined strength. Energy and steel collided with the monstrous form in a cataclysm that split the earth and shattered the air. Light swallowed shadow, fire met poison, ki met magic, and in the explosion's wake, silence followed. When the dust cleared, the the beast was gone. Magnolia, though scarred, stood resilient. The guild cheered, their voices carrying through the recovering city. But Goku and Erza remained in the crater, hands clasped, breathing together, the world around them forgotten for a moment. That night, under a canopy of stars, they walked along the river, side by side. Neither spoke, yet words were unnecessary. The touch of his hand on hers, the quiet strength of her grip, conveyed more than any declaration could. You know, Erza finally said, voice low, I've faced monsters, and mages who could destroy continents. And yet, you scare me more than any of them. Goku smiled faintly, a warmth breaking through his hardened exterior. And you're the only one who makes me feel like I can stop fighting for a while. Their fingers intertwined, a bond sealed not by magic or strength but by understanding, trust, and the countless battles they had endured together. The guild would continue to thrive, adventures would continue, rivalries would flare. But in the eye of the storm, Goku and Erza had found something permanent, each other. And under the quiet stars of Magnolia, for the first time, Goku allowed himself to rest, not as a warrior alone, but as part of a world worth protecting, and beside a woman worth staying for.